What's good, YouTube? It's the OG Barber back with another tutorial. Today we're going to be doing a mid skin taper fade with the waves on top. What I'm going to be doing right now is just basically combing through the hair, brushing it down, getting it to mat down a little bit so I can see the directions of the waves. We're going to be cutting with the grain, so it's very important that you guys actually see the way that the hair wants to grow naturally. So as you can see, I'm just going around the head, brushing it down, making sure everything is laying down, nothing sticking up too much, because if you go and you're going with the grain and there's a lot of hairs out of place, you could take a chunk out. Next thing you know, you got a hole in their hair. So I'm going to start with the one open. We're just going to go down with the grain, following the growth pattern downwards. And like I said, just before this, we took our brush and we were just brushing everything down to make sure everything stayed matted down. I want to say brushing it and getting a feel for the hair is probably one of the most important things. Trying to see the direction that the hair naturally wants to grow, how it's going to lay down is very important. Now, if you guys can tell right there, I am not touching the crown. And what the crown is basically where the cowlick is on the top of the head. This gentleman wants to leave that a little longer, so what I'm going to do probably with that is take a number 2 guard and then go with the grain on the cowlick with a number 2. Now you're starting to get an idea of which way the hair wants to grow, how it's going to look once it's cut down. And like I said, man, basically we're just going with the grain. You're going downwards, the way everything is laying, catching all those extra hairs that are sticking up, getting rid of the bulk and bringing everything down. So basically we're just going to take that and go all the way around the head. We started off on his right side, working our way all the way around the head, leaving the crown alone, so that way we can go in with the number 2 guard and go with the grain on the crown, because this gentleman likes it a little bit darker than the rest. Also, we're probably going to use a little bit of enhancements here. You can see his lineup in his front. He's got light spots on the corner, so probably at the end of this tutorial we're going to use some enhancements as well. Now what I'm doing here is taking the one open, and now we're doing the top of the head. Once again, we're just following the growth pattern, the way everything is laying down, and we're going with the grain, not against it. We're going with the grain. If you guys have any questions and you're not really sure exactly what I mean by with the grain, shoot me a comment, let me know what you guys want to know. But with the grain is basically when the hair is laid down, the way everything is laying, the direction that the hair flows, and the way everything is laid down on the head, basically. Okay, now we're going to take my number 2 guard and we're going to bring down the crown, which is the cowlick at the top. I'm taking our number 2 guard, and like I said, he just likes it darker, so we're just taking the next step up. Actually, what I'm doing is I'm taking my 1.5 clip, and I have my machine open, and we are doing the 1.5 open. I apologize, my mistake. It's pretty much almost equal to a 2 closed anyway. Alright, so now we're going to start our skin taper fade. I want to call this like a mid to low, and the reason I say that is because if you guys are looking, I'm cutting a triangle in with my trimmer, and the reason I'm doing that is because I like to keep the center a little bit lighter, and I like to keep the C-cup darker, and especially around the ears I don't like to take that taper too far back, so I like to leave those a little darker, so when we line them up everything looks nice and sharp. So we're just taking our trimmers and just cleaning up all the hairs on the cheek and at the where we're going to be fading on the taper. Now we're going to take our babyless shaver and we're going to clean everything out, getting all those little hairs and flicking out as we get to the top of where we left off with our trimmer. Next step we're going to do is we're going to take our machine with no guard, lever open, and we're going to take it up about 1 inch. And we're going to follow that same triangle pattern that I originally put in with the trimmer. We're starting with the lever open. I'm going to close it halfway, go a little bit lower, and just basically flick out. You know, a lot of people say flick. I like to use scratching movement because basically that's what you're doing with the machine. It's almost like as if you're scratching the hairs. So I start with the machine open, I go halfway closed as I work my way down to blend everything out. Now you guys are really going to start to see what I mean by leaving the C cup a little darker and leaving around the ears a little darker. It's very easy to take up a taper fade too far towards the back of the ear, and then it starts to look more like a fade than just a taper. So we want to keep it low, and we actually want to keep it dark around his ear, so that's another reason why we did so. Next step is our number 1 guard, lever open. We're going to take it up another inch. Just like I said, with that scratching movement as we get up towards where you see it darker. Another thing for you guys to know that I like to use the corners of the machine. So I usually use like the first 2 teeth, either the left or the right, on the guard or on the machine to do a lot of the temp fading. The reason I do that is because I feel like I have more control. I can detail a little bit better, and to me it just comes out cleaner. So we started off with the 1 guard open. Now I have it closed and we're just working our way down. Next we're going to go with our half guard. We're going to start with the lever open. We're going to go to lever halfway, lever closed, and blend everything out. Now as I close the lever, I work my way downwards towards where I left off with the prior guideline. So right now the machine is halfway. We're going to get it all the way closed, and we're going to start working our way into where we left off with the machine open. And once again, the scratching movement. A lot of people say flick out. I say scratching because to me that makes the more sense to describe. Another thing that's important for you guys to know, with curly, coarse hair like this, it's very important to always keep combing or brushing the hairs, because usually what happens is when you're fading and you're running a guard through it and you're cutting those hairs actually move. They don't actually get inside the blade and cut. So you always got to keep combing and trying to feed it through the comb, feed it through the clipper guard, feed it through the teeth of the machine, so that way it cuts. Now we're going back with our machine open, lever all the way open, just to do some detail work and start cleaning everything up. Once again, we're using our corners of the machines and we're using that scratching motion. By the way, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. Leave a comment, let me know what you guys think of the video. Let me know if there's anything else you guys want to see specifically. Alright, so here now we're going with the half guard machine open with the grain, just to get some of those dark bulky waves out. Sometimes those waves actually look like a line, or it's creating a line. So if you lighten it with the grain with a smaller guard, it makes it cleaner, it makes it look more uniform. Now we're going to take my trimmer, we're going to start lining up the C cup. The reason I do that is I like to see where everything is going to be, what it looks like once we stop fading, if there's any other parts that we have to fade into, anything else we have to clean up. I don't just wait till the last part of the haircut. So basically when I'm done fading that part of the taper, I'll go and line it up to see make sure everything looks clean and everything is sharp. Here you can see I'm starting to line behind the ear. So remember what I said, we started off with like a triangle shape. The reason for that is to keep everything nice and dark and uniform behind the ear. So once we line it up, hopefully you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now we're lining up the neck. We're just going with a natural line, straight back, straight down, just to clean everything up so I can see exactly how everything is going to look. Okay, now we're going to start with the back part of the head. Since we lined up one side, I'm just going to go ahead and start lining up the other to see how everything is going to look. Once you line it, you actually kind of get an outline of how the sides are going to look, how dark you're going to keep it, how high you're going to go with the fade. So I just like to clean them as much as possible. You're not going to hit it with the razor now or anything like that. It's just to clean it up. Now here we're going to start in the center, basically towards the bottom of the earlobe. I kind of like to do a little bit of an oval shape, and the reason for that is because I like to keep those corners a little darker. It just looks more sharp, in my opinion. I mean, not everybody has these corners that dark, but once we start blending, you guys get to see exactly what I'm talking about. I think it looks a little bit more sharper. The customers like it. I don't know if other people do the same or not, but this is how I like to do it. And not all of them, basically just like these mid, taper fades is where I like to do this shape. So now we're just taking our trimmer, we're just cleaning everything up underneath our first guideline, our bald guideline. Now this customer does not do the electric shaver on the back of the neck. Very important. Some people do break out from that. They do get ingrown hairs. What happens is sometimes the hair is so coarse that when it grows back and you go below the skin, it actually grows underneath the skin and they get ingrown hairs. So make sure you ask your customers if they break out on the back of the neck or under the neck before you even put the shaver on them. So now we're going in with our machine open, lever open, and we're putting our first guideline in about 1 inch. And we're just blending it out. So we're going to go with the machine lever open. We're going to go halfway, work our way a little bit lower, then we're going to go with the machine closed to blend everything together. And back to what I was saying before about the shaver and some people's skin being so sensitive. Trust me, this is something you guys want to ask your customers before you go in and you put a shaver on. Especially people with very curly, coarse hair. That's going to save you troubles in the long run. The customers are going to appreciate that because it shows you're more knowledgeable about that type of hair and the skin conditions and so on and so forth. So always ask. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to go in with our number 1 guard, lever all the way open. We're going to set our next guideline. We're going to go out, I want to say go up about 1 inch, 1.25 inches, pretty much up to where the back of the, I actually call the occipital bone, I believe, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. But you don't want to pass that. So we're taking it right up to the occipital bone. Once again, we're doing our scratching motion so we don't put in such a hard line. And remember, always be fading. No matter what guard you use, what guideline you put in, just remember to always scratch out, flick out, and make believe as if you're already trying to fade into what's there. It's very important. If you don't put such a hard guideline in, it's not that hard to take it out. Now we're with the lever closed with our number 1 guard, and we're just going lower and working our way down. And notice I'm taking my brush, I'm brushing the hairs down, I'm going back with the machine, brushing, going back with the machine. If you guys take a look, every single time we're going with the guard, you can see those hairs moving a little bit, especially on the right side behind the ear there. I'll take my brush it back down, get it to go the way it should lay, and then attack it again with the guard. Now we're going to go with our half guard, machine open. But we're going to start scratching out and blending downwards from where we left off with the one guard closed. So we're going with the half guard open, then we're going to be going halfway closed, working our way down until we get to the lever closed and everything blended out. Sometimes in some cases you got to go back with the machine open to get out that little, dark spots or that last line between the machine open and the one guard. It's a matter of getting your Barber eye. What I mean by that is when you can see the dark spots, it's just a matter of getting the right guard on there or flicking out correctly just to get those dark spots out and get everything nice and smooth and clean. Once again, you guys can see I'm using the corners of the machine with the scratching movement. This corner here, like I said, is a little tougher because his hair grows a little different back there. So as you can see, I'm doing a lot of brushing, a lot of detail work with the corners of the machine. You guys are going to get to know that once you start cutting your customers or learning hair or learning different types of hair or looking at the hair growth. You're going to know how to attack these type of fades and how to approach hair that grow different directions and things like that. Now I'm just going in with the machine all the way open and we're just doing some detail work, just cleaning everything up. Okay, now we're going to go on the other side of the head and start our taper fade. Once again, I'm putting in that triangle shape, cleaning up all the hairs with our trimmers. The reason for that, once again, is to keep our C-cup nice and dark, keep our taper low, and keeping everything dark around the ear so that way it doesn't start to look like a fade, a hopefully fade. Now we're going to go in with our shaver once again, clean up everything underneath the line that we left with our trimmer, and just get everything, getting everything nice and clean. Now we're going to go with our machine lever open, once again going up about an inch, and just starting to put our next guideline in. Once we put our guideline in, I like to fade it out pretty much right away. We'll start with the lever open, halfway, all the way closed. Working downwards towards where the skin line is, making sure we got everything nice and clean and blended. Once again, we're using the corner of the machines, basically the first two teeth on the right or left of the machine just to do our detail work. Get those little hairs and make sure it's nice and clean and blended right. Next is our one guard, lever actually all the way open. We're going to do that scratching motion again. We're going to go up approximately an inch and just start doing our fade, man. I like to lay a base down. That's the way I like to cut. I like to lay a base, fade the base out, and that way I know what I'm working into. It helps me actually to keep from bringing the fade too high, or taper too high. Once you lay a base, you're able to know exactly what you're working into, and it helps you guys not, so that way you guys don't make that fade or that taper or anything like that too high. Next, we're going to go with the half guard, machine open, work our way back in, cleaning out the base we just laid with the one open. So we're doing the half guard, lever open, halfway, and closed until we got everything nice and clean. Working with the corner of the machine, getting all the dark spots out, and basically just cleaning everything up, making sure everything is blended right. Now we're back with the machine, no guard, lever open, and we're just doing some detail work, cleaning everything up, making sure everything is blended right, getting all those little dark spots and things like that. Now we got my trimmer, and we're just going to clean up around the ear and make sure everything stays nice and neat and uniform. Now right after I did this and start lining it, you guys can actually start to see why I cut that triangle shape, because I like to keep it dark right there as it goes around the ear. Now we're just lining up the C cup and just cleaning everything up, man. Basically putting everything together, making sure he's nice and sharp, everything's blended right. Now we're gonna line the front of the forehead. I like to start in the center, and then I pick a side, whether it's left or right, and I just follow that same guideline. Make sure everything is nice and clean. Try to grab as many hairs as possible, that nothing is, sticks out longer than the rest. I always keep a comb in my hand or a brush in my hand, and as I go, I brush into it, get those hairs that I just cut out the way, and see if any hairs are misplaced or I left any long hairs as well. Now, once again, his corners are a little bit light, so I'm going to continue the line whether it stays dark or not. I'm not going to just try to make a nice dark sharp line, because most of the time it's not going to come out straight that way. So I'll continue that straight line all the way across, try to get even the little baby hairs, the little hair growth he's got, and if it stays light, it stays light. But that's a more natural look. You don't have to worry about getting a circular line up in the front. It still looks straight, still looks sharp. But like I said, these corners are just a little bit light, so we're probably going to hit it with some enhancements in a little bit, and just get it sharp. Let me know in the comments how many of you guys use enhancements, and what kinds you guys use, what you guys use. I use two. I use heavy enhancement, and there's another one. It's a kiss enhancement, and it actually has hair fibers in it as well. The reason I use that sometimes is because of the hair fibers. So it's like enhancements mixed in with hair fibers. Now we're just walking around, making sure everything lines up, looking in the mirror. Now we're going to take my stencil, and this is the Kiss that I was telling you about. Kiss makes this. It has hair fibers and enhancements mixed. And we're just using our stencil, and we're just going to make sure everything lines up. We're going to fill in those little dark spots, those light spots with the hair fibers and the enhancements. So even if it washes it out, it's not going to be as dark, but the line is still going to be there. It's going to be natural. It isn't like you're putting a fake line in. You're using the enhancements just to enhance what you lined up already, not to cover any mistakes or anything like that. It's real important you guys remember that. Don't use enhancements to cover up mistakes. Use enhancements to enhance, to make the lineup look sharper. Don't put in a fake line with the enhancements. The enhancements should just go on top of the hairs you already laid out there for them. Even if this customer goes home right now and takes a shower, the line is still going to be there. It may not be as dark, but the line will be there, and his natural hairline will be there. Now this is what the customer looked like before he came in for a haircut. Actually, before I cut his hair, this is what he looks like after. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming my way. I want to thank you. Y'all be safe. Peace out.